Welcome to the Deep Dive, your focused exploration of current affairs, especially geared towards your UPSC preparation.
That's right.
This is our briefing for May 14th, 2025, Part 1. Now, if you're regular listeners, you might notice we're touching on some topics again. Think of it as a crucial refresher.
Good way to reinforce key concepts.
Exactly. And if this kind of targeted analysis helps your studies, please do hit that like button and subscribe. We've gone through the key updates, so let's get straight into what you need to know.
Yeah, our goal today is really to pull out the essential information and, the insights that connect these different areas back to your UPSC syllabus.
Right. Helping you connect the dots. So, today we've got quite a range. We'll be looking at the International Maritime Organization's new emissions decision, then a ruling from the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, the ongoing search for axions, potential dark matter with the HAYSTAC experiment, the vital role microbes play in phosphorus cycling,
Always fascinating.
advances in ferroelectricity, the significance of the Buddhavanam Buddhist theme park, the living conditions of the Dongria Kondh Community.
A very important social issue there.
Definitely. Then an overview of the HIMARS rocket system, a recent human-animal conflict in Bormdev Wildlife Sanctuary, and finally, India's engagement regarding germanium export curbs. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it. Starting with the International Maritime Organization, the IMO.
Okay.
So the 83rd session of their Marine Environment Protection Committee, MEPC 83, they just adopted a pretty significant decision on shipping emissions. This is definitely relevant for your environmental protocols and international relations prep.
Right, the IMO. It's the UN's specialized agency, isn't it? Focused on shipping safety, security, and importantly, preventing marine and atmospheric pollution from ships.
Exactly. And it directly feeds into achieving UN SDG 14, the one about conserving oceans and marine resources.
And it's interesting, they formulate the rules, but they don't actually enforce them themselves, do they?
No, that's a key point. Member states have to adopt these regulations into their own domestic law. So implementation really falls in the individual countries.
Makes sense. So the IMO sets the global standard.
Precisely. It started way back 1948 as IMCO, became a UN agency in 59, and then got renamed IMO in 1982. It's got 174 member states now, headquartered in London, a major player.
And structure-wise, there's the Assembly, the Council, and then committees like the MEPC we just mentioned.
Correct. Assembly is the top body, Council is executive, and 5 main committees handle the technical work. Funding comes from, member contributions, some voluntary donations, and commercial activities too.
Okay. And when we talk pollution, ARPOL is the big one, right?
Yes, the MARPOL Convention. That's the main international treaty for preventing marine pollution from ships. Covers both operational stuff like routine discharges and accidental spills. It was adopted in 73, but then strengthened in 78 after some major tanker incidents.
And it's comprehensive, covering different pollution types through its annexes.
That's right, 6 technical annexes. They cover oil pollution, noxious liquid substances in bulk, harmful stuff in packaged form, sewage, garbage, and crucially for the recent decision, air pollution from ships.
Got it.
Yeah.
And India's position.
India is a signatory to Medal Parole and adheres to its annexes. It translates these international standards into national law, which is important given India's extensive coastline and maritime interests.
Okay, good to know. Let's switch gears to the legal side. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, NCAE, there was a recent dismissal involving S&J Synthetics and PepsiCo India.
Yes, that's right. NCLAT dismissed an insolvency petition by S&J Synthetics.
Well, the key takeaway here is that the NCLA emphasized the IBC shouldn't be used merely as a tool for debt recovery, especially when the main dispute is just about contested interest claims, not the principal amount or actual insolvency.
So it's clarifying the scope of the IBC. It's meant for genuine insolvency situations.
Exactly. Not just debt collection squabbles. And NCLAT itself, it's not just a court. It's a quasi-judicial body set up under the Companies Act.
Correct. Section 410 of the Companies Act 2013. It started operating in June 2016, mainly to hear appeals against decisions from the NCLT, the National Company Law Tribunal. The goal is faster resolution of corporate disputes.
And its remit is quite broad, isn't it? Appeals from NCLT under IBC, but also IBBI orders, Competition Commission.
Yes. Appeals against NCLT orders under Section 61 of the IBC, orders from the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India under Sections 202 and 211, orders from the Competition Commission of India, CCI, matters related to the National Financial Reporting Authority, NFRA. It even gives advisory opinions to the president.
Quite a range. Headquartered in New Delhi, composed of a chairperson, judicial, and technical members.
Appointed by the central government, yeah. Bringing in expertise in law, finance, accountancy, that sort of thing.
So it's a significant body for corporate governance and its powers.
It regulates its own procedure, but has the powers of a civil court, summoning witnesses, requiring documents, etc. Its orders are enforceable, like a civil court decree.
And appeals go where?
Straight to the Supreme Court. And importantly, civil courts can't handle matters that fall under NCLAT's jurisdiction, and you can't get an injunction against NCLT proceedings. There's also a push to dispose of appeals within 6 months.
So just to be clear for everyone listening, NCLT is the first stop, the trial level, and NCLAT is the appeal body reviewing those decisions.
Precisely. NCLT is the tribunal, NCLAT is the appellate tribunal.
Okay, makes sense. Now let's jump to something completely different from particle physics and the hunt for dark matter, the HAYSTAC experiment.
Ah, yes, HAYSTAC. Their latest results came out in physical review letters. And while they didn't actually find axions, the experiment itself represents a real technological step forward. They expanded the search area, basically.
Okay, remind us about axions. These are hypothetical particles, right? Proposed back in the 70s.
That's right. Initially, they were proposed to solve a specific problem in particle physics theory, in quantum chromodynamics, called the strong CP problem. But then people realized they also had the right properties to be candidates for dark matter.
What was their role in solving that CP problem?
Well, in simple terms, the theory allowed for a certain kind of asymmetry, CP violation, in the strong nuclear force. But experiments showed it didn't happen. Axions were proposed as a mechanism to naturally suppress that possibility.
And the dark matter connection, they're light, neutral, weakly interacting.
Exactly. All the characteristics you'd expect for cold dark matter, or CDM, which we believe makes up something like 85% of all the matter in the universe. And early cosmological models suggested that axions could have been produced in the early universe in just the right amounts to account for this dark matter.
So HAYSTAC is trying to actually detect them. How?
HAYSTAC stands for Haloscope. At Yale, sensitive to axion cold dark matter. It's a collaboration. Yale, Berkeley, Johns Hopkins. Their method relies on a prediction that axions can convert into photons, particles of light, in the presence of a very strong magnetic field.
Okay.
They use something called a haloscope, designed by Pierre Sikivi. It's essentially a resonant microwave cavity sitting inside a powerful magnet. If an axion passes through and has the right energy matching the cavity's frequency, it could convert into a microwave photon that they can then detect.
Pretty clever. And phase 2 of HAYSTAC was significant.
Yeah, phase 2 conducted the widest search in terms of frequency range for these dark matter axions so far. So even without a detection, pushing the boundaries of where these particles could be hiding is a major achievement.
Interesting.
And another cool thing, HAYSTAC is one of only 2 major physics experiments, the other being Advanced LIGO, the gravitational wave detector, that uses something called quantum squeezing.
Quantum squeezing, what's that?
It's a technique to basically reduce the inherent random noise, the quantum fluctuations, in their measurements. This makes them more sensitive to detecting extremely weak signals, whether it's a faint photon from an axion or a tiny ripple in space-time.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, let's shift from the cosmos down to the soil beneath our feet. A study in Nature Geoscience looked at microbes and phosphorus cycling.
Yes, over a really long time scale, too. 700,000 years in the Kulula coastal dune system in Australia. It highlights just how crucial microbes are.
And phosphorus P, it's absolutely vital for life, isn't it?
Oh, completely. It's a macronutrient. Essential for energy metabolism. Think ATP, it's in our cell membranes as phospholipids, critical for photosynthesis, and of course it's a backbone component of DNA and RNA.
Right. But in really old weathered soils, like in Australia, phosphorus can become really scarce, limiting growth.
Exactly. As the original rock minerals break down over long periods, phosphorus gets locked up or lost, often becoming the primary limiting nutrient for plants in those environments.
So where do the microbes come in? The study called them phosphorus gatekeepers.
That's the key finding. Soil microbes, especially fungi and bacteria, essentially control the flow of phosphorus in the ecosystem. They regulate who gets access to it and how it's cycled.
And they have ways to adapt when phosphorus is scarce.
They do. Some pretty smart strategies, actually. They can, for example, replace the phosphorus-containing lipids in their membranes with lipids that don't contain phosphorus. Or they might accumulate other types of lipids to basically reduce their overall need for phosphorus. It's all about optimizing phosphorus use efficiency.
So they're competing with plants for phosphorus, but also helping make it available.
It's exactly that balance. There's competition, yes, because everyone needs it, but microbes are also crucial for breaking down dead organic matter and recycling phosphorus, making it available again over the long term. So it's both competition and facilitation, a really dynamic relationship.
Very neat. Okay, let's turn to material science now. Ferroelectricity. There's a new technique from Oak Ridge National Laboratory.
Yes, researchers there have developed a way to visualize the dynamics, the movement of ferroelectric domain walls in much greater detail than before.
Okay, first, what exactly is ferroelectricity?
It's a property of certain materials, usually non-conducting crystals. They exhibit what's called spontaneous electric polarization. This means, even without an external electric field, they have regions where the positive and negative charge centers are separated, creating tiny internal electric dipoles.
And the key is that this polarization can be switched.
Exactly. You can reverse the direction of this internal polarization by applying an external electric field. It's kind of analogous to ferromagnetism, where magnetic materials have domains with aligned magnetic moments. In ferroelectrics, you have domains with aligned electric dipoles. Barium titanate is a common example.
Right, these ferroelectric domains.
Yep.
And you can reorient them with a strong enough field.
Yes. And when you do that, the material shows hysteresis, a sort of lag in its response to the changing field, similar to magnetic hysteresis. Also, like ferromagnets have a Curie temperature above which they lose magnetism, ferroelectrics have a Curie temperature above which the thermal energy disrupts the dipole alignment, and they lose their ferroelectric property.
And these domain walls, the boundaries between differently polarized regions, they're interesting in their own right.
Very much so. These walls can actually have different electrical or even magnetic properties compared to the domains themselves. Some can be conductive, for instance.
Which could be useful.
Potentially, yes. There's a lot of interest in using these conductive or magnetically active domain walls as components in future nanoelectronic devices, things like memory, sensors, signal processing, especially for low-power applications.
So this new technique, scanning oscillator piezo response force microscopy, SOPFM, what does it let researchers see that they couldn't before?
The big advantage is seeing the dynamics. Traditional methods mostly gave static snapshots of the domain structure. The SOPFM can actually track how these domain walls move both slowly and abruptly when you apply rapidly changing electric fields.
So you can see them evolving in real time, almost.
Essentially, yes. It provides dynamic visualizations. This helps understand how the walls evolve, how much energy it takes to move them. They achieve this using precision-timed electronics combined with atomic force microscopy. It's a significant leap from just static images.
And one last point on this ferroelectricity versus piezoelectricity. They're related, but not the same.
Good point. All ferroelectric materials are also piezoelectric. Piezoelectricity is the property where a material generates a voltage when you apply mechanical stress, or vice versa.
Okay.
But not all piezoelectric materials are ferroelectric. The defining feature of ferroelectricity is that switchable, spontaneous polarization. So ferroelectricity is a subset of piezoelectricity, you could say.
Got it. Okay, let's shift focus to cultural heritage. Buddhavanam in Telangana. Miss World contestants visited recently.
Yes. On Buddha Purnima, contestants from about 22 countries visited. Buddhavanam is a major Buddhist theme park located on the northern bank of the Krishna River.
And it's part of a larger government initiative.
That's right. The government of India sanctioned it as part of developing an integrated Buddhist circuit. The aim is to attract tourists, especially from Buddhist majority countries in Southeast Asia and elsewhere.
It's quite large, isn't it? Nearly 300 acres.
Yeah, 279 acres.
Yeah.
And the whole purpose is to showcase the life and teachings of Gautama Buddha through various exhibits and zones.
What are some of the key features?
There's an entrance plaza, then Buddha Charithavanam depicting Buddha's life, a Jataka park with stories of his past lives, Dhyana Vanam for meditation, Stupa Vanam featuring a Mahastupa, and also a Buddhist heritage museum.
The Mahastupa sounds impressive, with intricate carvings.
Yes, carvings on the drum and dome, and a unique interior design with a virtual hanging sky effect. Its location near Nagarjuna Sagar Reservoir is also significant historically.
Because of Nagarjunakonda?
Exactly. Nagarjuna Kondh, now partially submerged by the reservoir, was the ancient capital of the Ikshvaku dynasty, back in the 3rd, 4th centuries AD. It's named after the famous Buddhist scholar Acharya Nagarjuna.
And it was a major Buddhist center, particularly Mahayana Buddhism.
Absolutely. A really important hub. Excavations there from the 1950s uncovered monasteries, shrines, stupas, including a Mahastupa. Many structures were actually reconstructed on Nagarjunakonda Island, and at Anupu nearby.
So you can still see remnants of its past glory.
Yes, and the sculptural panels found there are amazing to say. They depict scenes from Buddha's life, and the Jataka tales really illustrates his importance as a Mahayana center.
Okay, now turning to a serious social issue. The Dongria Kondh Community in Odisha, the National Human Rights Commission is involved.
Yes, the NHRC sought an action-taken report from the Odisha government concerning the living conditions and lack of basic amenities for over 10,000 families of the Dongria Kondh. They are recognized as a particularly vulnerable tribal group, a PVTG.
And they live in the Niyamgiri Hills.
That's right, across Kalahandi and Rayagada districts. They're an ancient community with a deep connection to those hills. Their worldview is animistic. They revere the hills and forests as deities.
Their name even reflects that connection.
Yes, they call themselves Charniya, meaning protectors of streams derived from Dongar or hill. They trace their ancestry to a mythical god king, Nyamraja, who they believe created the hills and is their steward. Their survival is completely tied to the Niyamgiri forests and streams.
And this connection shows up in their culture and art.
Definitely. Their art often features triangular designs representing the mountains, reflecting their reverence for Nyamraja. They also have very distinctive jewelry. Women wear many ear and nose rings. Boys wear 2 nose rings plus tattoos and specific hairstyles.
How are they organized socially?
Interestingly, they don't have overarching political or religious leaders. Each clan and village has its own leaders. They have ceremonial figures too, male and female priests called Beju and Bajuni, and they speak their own languages, Kui and Kuvi, which are distinct from Odia.
And their livelihood, primarily forest-based.
Yes, collecting non-timber forest products, NTFPs, and practicing a traditional form of slash-and-burn horticulture called Podu cultivation. Their entire economy revolves around the forest ecosystem.
A very distinct and vulnerable community. Okay, let's touch upon defense tech now. HIMARS, High Mobility Artillery Rocket Systems. They've been in the news.
Yes, HIMARS. It's a lightweight multiple rocket launcher made by Lockheed Martin in the U.S.
And its purpose?
To engage and destroy a variety of targets, enemy artillery, air defenses, trucks, troop concentration supply areas, basically long-range fire support.
And the high mobility part comes from?
It's mounted on a wheeled truck chassis, a 5-ton FMTV. This makes it air transportable and quick to move on the ground.
So it can shoot and scoot, basically. Avoid counterfire.
Exactly. It can carry different payloads, too. Either a pod of 6 guided rockets, with a range of about 43 miles or so,
Okay.
or a single larger MGM-140 ATACMS tactical missile, which can reach out up to 200 miles.
Big difference in range. And it's quick to operate.
Very. Less than 20 seconds to get ready to fire, and it can launch all 6 rockets in about 45 seconds. Then it moves quickly. The 3-person crew also has some protection in an enhanced cabin.
Got it. HIMARS High Mobility Artillery Rocket System.
That's the one.
Now, unfortunately, back to human-animal conflict, a bear attack in the Boremdev Wildlife Sanctuary.
Yes. Tragically, 4 people collecting tender leaves were injured by a bear in the Kawarda range of the sanctuary in Chhattisgarh. It highlights the real dangers in these interface areas.
Tell us about the Boremdev Wildlife Sanctuary itself. It's in Chhattisgarh.
Yes, in the Kawarda district. It's part of the Maikal range of the Satpura Hills, known for its unique ecosystem. It actually gets its name from the nearby Boremdeo temple complex dedicated to Lord Shiva. That temple is over 1,000 years old, sometimes called the Khajuraho of Chhattisgarh.
And the sanctuary's ecological role.
It covers about 352 square kilometers and is part of the crucial Kana-Akanakmar corridor, which helps wildlife, including tigers, move between those 2 major reserves.
What's the landscape like?
Undulating hills, dense forests, lots of streams. The Fen and Sankari rivers actually originate there. Vegetation is mostly tropical, moist, and dry, deciduous forest trees like sage, sao, tendu, naliri.
Oh, fauna. Besides bears, obviously.
It's home to tigers, leopards, sloth bears, various deer species, and many birds. So, yes, located in Chhattisgarh within the Maikal range of the Satpuras.
Okay. Finally, let's talk about germanium. India is engaging with China over export restrictions.
That's right. Germanium is considered a critical mineral.
Why critical? What's it used for?
Mainly in manufacturing high-tech stuff. Semiconductors, fiber optic cables for communication, and high-efficiency solar panels.
Okay. And what is germanium? It's a metalloid.
Yes, a silvery gray metalloid. Sits between silicon and tin on the periodic table, group 14. It has a diamond-like crystal structure and semiconductor properties similar to silicon. It's pretty stable, doesn't react much with air or water or most acids, though nitric acid affects it.
Didn't Mendeleev predict it?
He did. Back in 1871, based on his periodic table, he predicted an element he called ecosilicon, right where germanium was later found. Clemens Winkler actually discovered it in 1886.
And it became important later.
Hugely important after World War II, once its semiconductor properties were understood. It was key for early transistors, rectifiers, photocells.
Where does it come from? Is it mined directly?
Not usually. It's widely distributed, but rarely found concentrated. Specific germanium ores like germanite are rare. Most of it today, about 75%, is extracted as a byproduct during zinc production from sphalerite ore.
Okay, so linked to zinc mining.
And the other 25% or so comes from coal fly ash, the residue from burning coal.
And China is the major producer.
By far, around 60% of global production comes from China. The rest comes from places like Canada, Finland, Russia, and the U.S. So China's export restrictions have a big impact.
Right. And just to confirm, it's a semiconductor, not a conductor like metal, and mostly a byproduct.
Correct, on both counts.
Wow. Okay. So we've covered a lot today. International regulations, domestic law, particle physics, soil science, material innovations, cultural sites, social issues, defense tech, wildlife conflicts, critical minerals. Quite the spectrum.
It really shows how interconnected everything is, doesn't it? All relevant in different ways for a holistic understanding needed for UPSC prep.
Absolutely. Which leads us to a final thought for you to ponder. Considering this web of environmental rules, tech advancements, and socioeconomic factors we've touched on today, how might India strategically position itself to, leverage these global trends for its own sustainable development and economic growth going forward?
That's a good question to reflect on. Lots of angles there.
Definitely something to think about. We hope this deep dive was valuable for your preparation. If it was, please do give us a like and subscribe for more focused analysis to help you on your UPSC journey.